is Yud Zayin. It is the 17th day of the month of Adar, and Be'ezras Hashem, we are learning Daf Kuf Tes Zayin Amud Aleph. We are starting from Kuf Tes Vav Amud Beis towards the bottom of the page, 4 lines from the bottom. The next Amud, the next few Amud really are very jam-packed with Hilchos Pesach and a lot of sugyas that people are definitely familiar with. From Lel Haseda, the Gemara tells us as follows, 4 lines from the bottom of the page. Amar Shmuel tells us, Lechem Oni, quoting from the pasuk, Lechem Oni, that you have to have matzah is called the bread of affliction, a poor man's bread. What exactly is Lechem Oni? So it is written, you might remember from way back when, it is written without the vav. It's written chaser. So we learn a lot of things from this word Oni. The first is lechem she'onim olav dvarim. It is bread that you declare upon it many things. Usually people say that lechem she'onim means answer from la'anot, but that's not true in the Chumash. In the Torah, the pasuk says va'anisa va'amarta with the farm that's bringing his meiser and his bikurim, va'anisa va'amarta arami avedavi, which is really the whole Haggadah that we are learning through on Leil HaSeder, which we'll see later. But she'onim olav dvarim, that you announce on it, you use this as the prop to declare many things about it. Says the Bryce, we have a Bryce that says, like Shmuel as well, Lechem Oni, what the drasha, Lechem she'onim olav dvarim harbe, that you declare on it many things. Shmuel did not say dvarim harbe, but the Bryce has the lashon of dvarim harbe. Many things are declared about this matzah. Davar acher, one additional aspect of drasha on the pasuk Lechem Oni. Lechem Oni is written without a vav. Says the Gemara, Ani ksiv, Ani without a vav. Ma Ani shadakar b'prusa. Just like an Ani has his way of eating is with a broken piece of bread. Turning to Kuf Tes Zayin Amud Aleph, Af kan b'prusa. Here too, you also have to have a prusa. You have to have a broken piece of bread. There is a machlokas in the Rishonim what exactly this means. Does that mean that you need to have when you have your lechem mishnah on Leil HaSeder, does that mean that you have one broken piece and one whole piece, or you have 2 whole pieces and 1 broken piece? Meaning, is the broken piece in addition to the lechem mishnah, or is it separate from? The Rashbam here points out, Av kan b'prusa levarich al achilas matzah. This you need the prusa to make the bracha al achilas matzah. Ushtei shleimus ma'isinan, and you bring 2 whole pieces mishum hamotzi, because you need hamotzi. Deloi gar mishar yam tovim shenitzach l'vtara shtei kikaros ubetzea me'achas me'ashleimus. You have to have 2 whole ones, and then you going to be betzea me'achas hashleimus. You're going to break from one of the shleimus. That's the one that you are going to eat. And then there's a machlokas, exactly what you are eating at. Do you eat from both of them? Do you eat from one of them? And if so, which one comes first? That is all part of the machlokas here. Rav Haigon has a chiddush that is unique amongst all of the shits of the Gaonim and the Rishonim, which is that it is mutter to make hamotzi even on a prusa, because an ani would not be opposed to having a prusa, but that is not the general mahalach of pretty much everybody else. Davar acher, an additional point. This is our third drasha on lechem oni. So we have lechem oni she'onim olav dvarim harbe, darkar shel ani b'prusa, and davar acher ma darkar shel ani hu masik v'ishta oifa, av kan nami hu masik v'ishta oifa. The way that an ani bakes bread is he is firing up the oven, and his wife is baking the bread, because they don't have a lot of time, and they don't have a lot of fuel, and they don't own the oven. They're renting or borrowing space in the oven, and the way that they make their bread is very, very quickly, is in a rush. So likewise, matzah has to be made as expediently as possible without any delay, with the greatest amount of efficiency, and that's a din, so that it doesn't become chametz. Rashi and the Rashbam point out here. So you should do it in a way that it is very, very quickly, and that's true even for wealthy people. The wealthy people should make sure that their matzah is baked as efficiently as possible, and there are those that have the minhag to bake their own matzahs based on this Gemara. Says the Gemara, "Afal pi she'en charosis mitzvah." Quoting from what we had said before, even though charis is not a mitzvah, what does this mean? It says, if charis is not a mitzvah, then why would you need to have it at the table? You need it because of the kappa, because of the this poison, some kind of unhealthy bug that is inside of it. Amar Rav Ashi says, Rashi kappa dechasa chama. The kappa that's inside of chassid lettuce is taken care of by chama, by radishes. Kappa the chama karti, and the kappa that's inside of chama of radishes is karti, is leeks. Kappa the karti chamimi, and the kappa that's inside of the karti is dealt with by chamimi, by hot water. Kappa the kulu chamimi, and all of them will be taken care of by hot water. And while you are dipping it or waiting for it to be cleared out of the kappa, you should say this: kappa 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 de chernalach. Oh kappa, I recognize you. V'lashav b'nesech, and your 7 daughters, uletamni kalasech, and your 8 daughters-in-law. What exactly does this mean? So this is where the Aruch, the Baal Aruch says we have no idea what this means. These were the lachashim, like the incantations that were known in the days of the Tanaim and Amoraim, that we don't really know what they do today. But apparently, this was the thing that you were supposed to say while doing this, and we paskin that we don't do that. Rabbi Elazar Reb Tzadok, I mean mitzvah. Rabbi Elazar Reb Tzadok held that this was a mitzvah, that you have to that not only is it there for the sake of clearing up the kappa, but even if you would know that there was no kappa, I don't know, 100 panik chasa, you would still need to bring, you would still need to have your charis as part of the seder. So if that's the case, my mitzvah, what exactly is the mitzvah here? Rabbi Levi says zecher l'tapuach. It is zecher to the tapuach, that pasuk in Shirashim tachas tapuach haratich, that the Jewish people didn't want to have children, and their wives would make sure to find ways of seducing them so that they would still continue to have children. And Rashi here quotes and they would go back and they would have children under these orchards so that they would not alert the Mitzrim to the fact that they were having children. What exactly is a tapuach? So today we refer to tapuach as an apple. It is likely that a tapuach is not an apple in the days of Chazal. Tapuach is probably some kind of citrus. I don't, to the best of my knowledge, I don't think that they had apples in the Middle East during the days of Chazal. Rabbi Yochanan says that it is a remembrance to the mortar that they had to mix together to make the brick. So one is talking about the greatness of the Jewish people. One is talking about the suffering of the Jewish people. Amar Abaye says you have to make it kahoi, and you have to also make it samchay. What is these two things? You have to make it thick, and you and you also have to make it you have to make it thick, strong, and you have to make it liquidy, and then mix in the stuff to make it like the mortar, like the cement. The kahoi, you have to make it strong. Zecher tapuach, that reminds you of the tapuach. And then you thicken it as remembrance for the bricks and mortar. And we have a brayso that was that taught like Rabbi Yochanan, Tavlin zecher teven, is that you put spices into it, zecher teven. That's as remembrance of the straw. So what spices are remembrance to the straw? So Rashi says Tavlin is yirachish metilim b'charos zecher teven b'charos shekochim by adak zecher tit. You have these long strands of spices, probably cinnamon sticks, that you would mix in zecher teven, and then you would chop it up. So there would be charosis, and then chop it up zecher tit, so that it's a remembrance for the cement. Amar Rabbi Elazar Tzadok says, Rabbi Elazar Tzadok, kach hayu omrim Tagri Charach Yerushalayim. This is what the storeholders would say in Yerushalayim. They had this lashon that indicated this. Bo v'tolu lachem tavle mitzvah. Come and buy spices for the mitzvah. Meaning that he says that there was an old minhag in Yerushalayim to refer to the charoshes as a mitzvah in and of itself. It wasn't just for ensuring that your chasa was safe. It was also for the mitzvah zecher l'tzias Mitzrayim, or zecher to the story of being in Egypt and then coming up thereafter. On to the next Mishnah, which is the next cup of wine. So we have gotten through Kaddish. We spoke about washing hands. That's urchatz. Yachatz, that's because you have to have darker shalani b'pru, so you have to break the middle matzah, or one of the matzahs, depending on your psak. Then Kaddish, urchatz, karpas, yachatz. Now we're going to get to magid, but before magid, we pour the second cup of wine. Mazgu loy. This is the Mishnah. Masnisim mazgu loy kos sheni. They pour him a second cup of wine. Who's him? So the Rishonim point out that l'ch'urit means the balabais. Right, the balabais is the one that is making the brachas of the wine. That everybody is chayv to drink the cup of wine, but mazgu loy kos sheni is the one that is saying the Haggadah has to say it over the cup of wine. V'kana ben shel, and here the child asks. So v'kana ben shel aviv. The son asks his father these questions. V'im ein das ben, and if the child doesn't know how to ask, his father has to teach him. What does his father teach him to ask? Now, the word ma, we translate in the Haggadah says, what makes this not different from all other nights? That's probably not correct. The word ma in the days of the Mishnah did not mean what, it means how much, meaning how different is this night? It was an exclamation. This is not the question. Manishtan is not the question. Manishtan is an exclamation, it's an observation. And now we have questions. The first question is, every other night of the year we get to eat whatever we want, chametz or matzah. Here we only get to eat matzah. The next question, on all other nights we eat other vegetables. Tonight we are eating maror. The lashon that we have in some of the Haggadahs is that tonight we eat everything we eat is maror. That's not correct. The lashon is maror. Tonight we eat maror, meaning that we start off our meal with something bitter. We don't start off our meal with salad. We start off our meal with maror. Now it's true that you've already had karpas up until this point in time. So does that mean that that the child is observing this, or he's looking at the Seder plate? So there's days in the Rishonim, we'll see a little bit later. On all other nights, and this was in the days of the Beis HaMikdash, the Rashbam points out, all other nights of the year, we get to eat our meat however we want. We can have it roasted, we can have it stewed, we can have it cooked, you can have it barbecue, you can have sous vide, you can have whatever you want. You can have all of these things. All of that is good. Tonight we can only have roasted because the korban pesach has to be roasted, as well as the korban chagiga. Chagiga also has to be roasted. That was all of the meat of that night was roasted. On all other nights, anu ein anu chayvim lidvol. We don't, and you see the different girsas. We don't have to dip even once. Tonight we have to dip twice. Now that does mean, do we never dip? No, of course you dip. You can dip however many times you want. But tonight, you are part of the Seder is that you have to dip twice. And depending on how smart the kid is, his father is teaching him. You start off with the negative, and you end with the positive. And you are going to be darish from. This is what we said from like the farmer says in Yerushalayim. When it comes to Yerushalayim, he tells the whole story from all of Jewish history, from Arami Ovid Avi until he gets to the end of that whole section. Okay, says the Gemara, the Brisa says as follows: Chacham b'nai, if his son is smart, shala, he asks him these questions. If he's not so smart, ishta shala. His wife is going to ask him the question. And if he doesn't, if he's not married and doesn't have any kids, and he's having the seder by himself, that is like COVID shaila. Who shala atzma? He asks himself the questions. And even two Talmidei Chachamim that are all holding in all of Hilchos Pesach, they ask these questions to each other. That is part and parcel. This is how Reb Chaim famously said that the way of one of the differences between Sipur Yitzias Mitzrayim, that you do every that you don't allow Seder, and Zecher Zechir Yitzis Mitzrayim that you do every night of the year. And Kriya Shema is that this has to come through questions and answers. That's what Chaim was Mechadish on this Gemara. And that is part and parcel of the way that we tell over the story. So, what's the deal with the dipping? So, Rava asked the question: is it possible that all the other nights of the year you don't even dip once? Right? That's the girsa of the Mishnah that the Gemara is quoting. All the nights of the year we don't dip even once. So Rava said, no, this is what it means. We're not obligated to dip even once. Here we are obligated to dip twice. The whole reason that we do this is so that the children are going to ask the question, why are we dipping twice? Meaning, what do you mean that you are obligated to? It's not obligated. It's just to inspire the questions. Ella Amar Rav Safra says, Rav Safra Hakatani, this is what it means. So, on all other nights, what's the chiddush? The chiddush is that we even have to dip once, meaning all on the nights of the year, nobody says that you dip anything. Yeah, we're dipping twice, but the once is where the chiddush is. That's the chiyuv. You start off with the bad and you end with the good. So we have the famous machlokes. My bigness, what's the bad stuff? Rav Amarav says that our ancestors were once upon a time over the avodah zarah. That's the bad. Rav is saying that the story of Yetzias Mitzrayim is first and foremost a spiritual story, spiritual redemption. Shmuel says that we used to be slaves. It was that starts with a physical tzara. Amar lei Rav Nachman ledara avde, says Rav Nachman to Dara's servant. Avde the mafik lei mara lecheres v'yav lei kased da'ava. My baby memele, says Rav Nachman to his servant Dara. If a master frees his slave and gives him gold and silver, what should he say to him? Amarle says, you should give praise and thanks to him. Amarle says, you've exempted us from saying manishtana, meaning because now you've already told us the whole reason for the story. Pasach va'amar, and therefore he started to say, avadim hayinu, we were slaves in Mitzrayim. We went to the next section of the Haggadah. And Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach, we will continue with the next Mishnah on Shabbos. Looking forward to a beautiful Shabbos, and we'll see you there.